My name is Lynette, and this is the Learning Tube, and welcome, welcome. So as you know, every week we try to bring you information either from us, our team, or outside people coming in, sharing their knowledge. And so today we have a special guest with us, Miss Lynette Furr, and she is going to be talking to us about cybersecurity. Now, to give you a little background, Lynette is actually one of our AI consultants. She just recently spoke at the AI Insight Summit, and she blew it out of the water. People were so excited about her presentation, and they wanted to learn more because cybersecurity and protection, as soon as we said it, people are typing in, how do I protect my laptop? How do I protect my cell phone? What do I do if all my information is out there on the internet? That's just where we are right now, unfortunately. But Lynette is here to give us some information and let us know how we navigate with all these problems and this issues that are out there, what to do and what not to do. And she's got some tools that she's going to share with you as well. So let's bring up Lynette. Let me see. Lynette, you ready?
Yeah, give me about 2 minutes, please. 2
2
minutes.
minutes. Okay. Now, just to give Lynette all fairness, we kind of threw this on her last minute. So yesterday we said, hey, Lynette, can you talk on the Learning Tube tomorrow? She's like, oh, yeah. So, last minute we kind of threw her in here. So giving her some extra time. But thank you once again for having that opportunity, for saying yes last minute and joining us. So thank you for that. Now, in the meantime, while Lynette's 2 more minutes to get some things ready, if you have some questions, go ahead in the Zoom. There's the Q&A section. If you could put your questions in there, just so it's better organized and easier to get to. If you have questions specifically for Lynette, go ahead and put them in there so we can get them when she starts talking. Okay. Now, let me see if anybody has any questions already. Let's see. Anne Marie says, so crucial. Yeah, Suzanne was on the summit. She said she was fantastic. Yeah, I know that people could share stories about things that have happened cybersecurity wise. I know my dad, he would answer emails, when PayPal is like, click here for a PayPal update and stuff like that. You've got money, and he did it, got hacked. So there's so much stuff out there. You just have to be so cautious on what you're doing, what you're clicking on, and passwords. I know Lynette is going to talk about that, but passwords are going to just end me. It's like I have a password for a password and a password for that password, and then I have to encrypt that password. And it's just passwords could be nightmares, but there's a strategy and the proper way of how to do that whole password, getting those passwords out there. Yeah, Janine says she even found out that one of her email addresses is compromised during the exercise. Yes. Does anybody else struggle with passwords? I have passwords for passwords. Let's see. Yeah, just can't keep up with passwords. Yeah. So yes, so yes, this will be recorded. All of our Learning Tube sessions are recorded, so no worry on that. Tanita says, yes, passwords drive me nuts. I know. Yes, so I do use LastPass. We also use another one called RoboForm. So LastPass is a really great tool. I'm not sure what tools Lynette's going to talk about, but LastPass is a great tool, especially if you have team members. So make note of that, LastPass. One reason why that's a great tool is because you can put your password in it and then you can share it with a team member, but they don't actually see what the password is. Like they go to the page and it logs them in, but they don't see what it is. The reason why that's a great tool is because if that team member is no longer with you, you just remove that access and they never had the password. So you don't have to, worry about that. So LastPass is really good, especially if you have team members or people that you need to share passwords with. Yes. Let's see. Jolene, thoughts on 1Password? I don't know that one, Jolene. Yeah, LastPass can be, it does have its quirks. I mean, there's pros and cons, and there's really pros and cons to everything. So, pros and cons to everything. Janine, it's LastPass. Like you're last in line, LastPass. Let's see. Yeah, Social Security numbers breached. Cynthia can't. Password Manager, yes, is a great tool. I have. Exactly. I don't really want to show you my LastPass demo because I think it'll show you my account, but I can definitely go to the screen. I've also used one called RoboForm. That's one that I've used in the past, but that's kind of an older one. LastPass is more of a new technology kind of stuff. Let's see. So here's LastPass. So, there's different things in here. You can do business, personal. So here it's lastpass.com. You've got your autofill, access passwords, the team or the business. So it's not expensive. I mean, if you think about some type of password management tool. But yeah, so check it out. It gives you, go through this. I do definitely recommend, checking out some of these different things as well. Why you can use it, how it's good. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about right here, password sharing. So you can share it within your team. Okay. All right, that is LastPass. All right. Thank you, Tanita. Yes. All right. Yeah, good one. Yes, Michelle says LastPass uses crazy levels of encryption. Yes. All right. And LastPass is autofill. Yes. All right. Yes, RoboForm was the other one that I mentioned. RoboForm is one that I've been using, gosh, I don't know, probably 10 years or longer. And it's good too. Yeah, it's the only thing, I don't know, it may have the option to do sharing now. I'm not even sure, but I use RoboForm and LastPass. RoboForm I've been using for over 10 years. And then when we started getting teams and sharing things, that's when I switched over to LastPass because of the sharing. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. Anything else that people have questions on? Just trying to talk about like my personal experiences. One thing that I've also done, not that I'm a security wizard or anything, but anytime there's the opportunity to do that two-factor how do I say it? Two-factor, the MFA, right? Multi-factor I always do that. So somebody told me that's something that you should always turn on. So if you don't have that for the different sites that you're using, that's definitely something that's beneficial. Let's see, Janine, can you do sharing with the LastPass personal? Honestly, Janine, I'm not sure because we have the business. I don't know. But you can try it out. They do have, Jolene says yes. They do have a free trial as well if you want to try that. All right. Lynette, you ready? You ready, Lynette? You ready? She's coming. I'm sure what you have is good enough, Lynette.
I'm ready. Give me 1 second. I'll
All
share
right.
my screen here shortly.
Okay. So some of the questions, remember, if you have a question for Lynette, go ahead and put that into the Q&A session in Zoom so that we have it in an organized place. Yes, Janet, she was awesome last week. She was, and that's why we brought her back. People want to learn more. Even me, I want to know more. I'm definitely, especially if you're running a business, the importance of making sure that your systems and all the stuff that you have is secure. The last thing that you want to happen is something goes into your, in your accounts or some things like that, and something happens to, exposing your clients' information. So most of you are here for, our business owners. So this is very important for you as well. Okay. Yeah. So Lorette. Yes, it's close. Lorette. You thought I was talking to myself? Lynette, are you ready? Lorette. All right. Okay, Lynette, we're ready for you. Right.
Okay.
Just a quick question here. If you purchase VIP on the past summits, you get materials forever. Yes. So you'll see everything that you ever buy from us. If you're ever in our programs and stuff, you always get access for forever. I mean, unless it's a subscription like Experts Club. But other than that, yes. All right. Okay, here we
Let
go.
me know if you can, when you see the screen here
We
shortly.
see the screen. Yep. All right.
Get back to the main one. All right, let me know. You can see it. Full
We
screen.
can see it. It's all you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending today. Welcome to the Learning Tube session. I am honored to be here with you today and honored to be asked to come back and speak again. Okay, so you will see some slides here that'll be similar for those who were a part of the summit last week, and then you'll see some new ones here. All right. So proactive AI cybersecurity protection. Say hack no to your threats. What does that mean? Why are we saying that? We don't want them. Obviously, cybersecurity risks, what to do about them for you personally, your business, and your client's private information. How to keep that safe. As I said before, I'll say again, we don't know what we don't know. So this is some of the reasons why I'm a part of cybersecurity and the things that we do to protect our clients. We use cybersecurity as well as proactive steps, tips, and most importantly, AI-driven tools. Some things that we're going to learn today. What is cybersecurity? An overview of today's digital environment, unmasking the true risks, cybersecurity attacks. What are some of the core cybersecurity threat types? And what do you do next? I do have a video that we're going to play here shortly. And I'm not playing it to scare you. I'm just playing it to make sure you understand that these are things that we also need to consider. It's not about just your business, it's about you personally as well. All right, so first question I have for you is, what is cybersecurity? And then I want you first, though, to just take a look at this and tell me, what do you see here? How would you feel if you had a very long day, you came home, and this is what you saw? You saw a very long day. I'm sorry. Let me give you the better view. You've been out to persevere and you went to do your workout session at the local gym here. We'll just name it. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. So when you come out to your car after a long day, this is what you see. How would you feel if you saw this? And I'm going to try to check the chat as well to see what your comments are. Violated, horrible, absolutely. Okay. And angry, upset. And why is that? Why do you feel violated, angry, scared, upset? Yep, a lot of bad words. Yep. Okay, and you may say, well, Lynette, what does this have to do with cybersecurity? Well, it goes back to what I said before. When you look at this, you know what's going on. You see that there's been a violation. You feel like, you want to say some curse words. You want to, do all kind of bad things to whoever did this. And you want to say, okay, well, we don't know who did it, but I know, how I feel. I feel violated. Well, in our environment these days of the cybersecurity world, that too is an issue because you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what is going on. So what do we call cybersecurity? What is cybersecurity? Just to let you know that was me, where I showed you that previous slide. I did have that issue. Someone did come out. They stole my laptop out of the car. So that was a scary situation. $3,000 plus later of replacing that and the data and things of that nature on it. So, these are the things that we want to consider even when you just go in for a few minutes, you want to make sure that if you have your computer in your car, take it with you. Okay. But I said that to say is we don't know what's going on under the hood, but we could see what was going on with the car. So this is why we have tools put in place to kind of install those tools to figure out what's going on. Cybersecurity, tell me, what do you think it is? And what do you think it's not? Every time I ask that question, I get mixed feelings and mixed emotions. Someone says that it happened to them when it was raining, the car was wet, And that added insult. Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Working hard, someone to just take advantage of you, absolutely. Protecting your online presence. That's a great example. I agree with that. I will go with that. Any digital assets that you have, anything online, you want to protect that. That's pretty much cybersecurity in the box. You know, it's just like your locks on your alarms. You want to make sure thieves can't get in and steal your data, your information, your private confidential information. All right, a little bit about me again. As you could see here, been in business for 25 plus years. The other day I said 25 plus years, but I realized it's been 30 plus years. So I'm getting on up in the age. Been living in Atlanta a little bit over 27 plus years. Owner, serial entrepreneur. Personal fact about me, I love hearing the beach water, but I don't like getting in it. And originally from Alabama, and as I would always say to people, is roll tide. So these are some of the things we do and services we offer. Fractional CIO, CTO, CSO. Basically, we're an outsourced IT department for our clients. And we also do cybersecurity awareness training, AI automation and productivity training, and IT staffing. So some of the service providers that we do it also, I didn't put that here, but a lot of times we go out for other IT companies as well and represent them and as if we're them as opposed to my company. So that's also some of our clients that we serve. All right, what you learned today, what is, again, how do we use AI to protect ourselves and our clients? How do we spot those areas? What do we do best, you know, in best case scenarios? At least, you know, you basically want to do as best you can, because you can't prevent it, but at least you can make it difficult. So that's the most important part. All right, the role in AI. I mentioned this before, I'll say it again. Artificial intelligence is, you know, it's been around forever. We just knowing more about it nowadays, especially a year or so plus ago when ChatGPT came out. It seems like everybody really learned what AI was more so than ever. Because if you've been using any smartphones, you know, you already been using AI, you know, Siri, that's AI. When you call out the name, you know, Alexa, that's AI. So anytime you have those in place, that's AI. And now, why do we use AI to help us protect our clients? Because it's something that runs 24/7, 7 days a week. We install certain tools in the environments, and it lets us understand. It serves like a security guard, if you will. So as I go along, I'm going to try to ask questions as well. How do you protect your identity when you're having your phone repaired? That's a good question. So what I'll do is I'll keep going, and then when we get done, I'll save some time for us to go over all your questions, if you don't mind. And if you don't remember it, just like you say, like Lorette said, put it in the chat, and then we'll make sure we get back to it. So AI as a security guard. So let's say, what do you mean by that? And how do we make sure that we use it as a security guard? Well, it goes in the tools that we have. We install those tools, and they're monitoring everything proactively 24/7. And what does that mean? Okay, well, I had a client the other day that says, I mentioned this the other day, we had to go in, it was a client of a client. So we went in to help them get rid of the cybersecurity attack and what we call remediate. And when we were remediating them, we found out that, you know, there were some things that they didn't do or didn't use. And there was one of their employees that did not have two-factor authentication enabled. And unfortunately, because of that, they were able to get into their VPN software and log in as them. And then they were able to put the bad items in there. Well, I asked that same client, I said, well, could you tell me, you know, how often do you do testing? You know, what we call penetration testing, which is basically a way to see if you click on something, it's a it's a mimicking someone trying to get in on your computer. Okay, whether it's an email or clicking on a link in a text message or email. So I asked her, how often do you doing the vulnerability testing? She said, well, they do it once a year. I said, whoa, just once a year? Yes. I said, well, hackers don't just hack once a year, so you may want to do that a little bit more often. And so they said, okay, well, do you have some things that you suggest? I said, absolutely. So we will help them with that as well. But you want to make sure that you're not just testing once a year, because hackers hack all throughout the year. So these are ways that we use to put into place some things to verify whenever something happens differently. Like if you have your business account, your business email, not your personal, but a business email, meaning something with at your domain name or at your company name.com or .net or whatever it is, you want to make sure that that business email is what they call business email compromise. You want to make sure it's not compromised. We'll do a task here shortly to kind of show you for your personal emails, because a lot of people have the personal emails and they use that as a business, and then a lot of people don't. So we will make sure that we will put that in place. We will show you a task to verify how is that working for you if you need to make some changes. So as I said, we monitor unusual activities. So let's say you logged in today on your computer, and let's say you logged in your email here in Atlanta, and then you are over where Lynette is. All of a sudden, 5 minutes later, you're logging in over there, where there's no way you can log in Florida as well as Atlanta within 5 minutes. So we would know that there's some kind of unusual activity going on, and we would detect that and stop that from happening. So that's part of what we use AI for as well. We use AI as a repairman. So when you say repair, okay, what are we repairing? Well, a lot of times we're repairing things that are taking place in the background prior to our clients even knowing there's an issue, because like I say, we're monitoring 24/7 each of the devices. Okay, staying updated with AI, real-time threats and monitoring, adaptive threat intelligence, automated vulnerability patching. I know everybody hear it, especially us Windows users, and for those Mac users as well, yours might not be as much of patching, meaning making sure the updates take place. But with Windows users, we do have to do quite a bit of patching. So we want to make sure that not only that you do the vulnerability patching on your Windows devices, but you need to make sure that when you do that update, that is actually going to be a good update to do. And so sometimes you may want to wait a little while, and then we test them on another system before we roll it out to our clients. But you definitely want to do your updates as well. How many of us here has been hacked by, in one way or another, with cybersecurity, your tax returns? Tell me, somebody in the chat, tell me how many people, just say me in the chat to say that you've been hacked before. Okay, multiple times. All right. So I'm going to stop my share for 1 second, and I'm going to play a video here. One moment. Unemployment. Oh, okay. Wow. I'm going to play a video here of something I found out last night. As I was preparing for this, I said, I definitely want to show you this today. All right, I'll be sharing my screen again. Give me 1 second. Share audio.
Listen, if you have a bank account, everyone has a bank account. If you have
Everybody
a
here, you
cell
see it?
phone, almost everyone has a cell phone. You need to watch your bank account. Okay, watch this.
News is asking a security question tonight that deals with your cell phone. How did a Maryland woman lose $17,000 even though she had two-factor authentication on all of her accounts?
Security experts tell I-Team investigator Scott Taylor that it's a lot simpler than you could ever imagine.
We all know criminals have multiple ways to steal your identity, but 7 News is sending out a warning. SIM card swapping almost cost Sharon Hussey
Lynette,
of Bethesda,
Lynette, we
Maryland,
can't see the video.
$17,000.
Oh, you can't. Okay. Absolutely. Try again.
It all started when Hussey got this email thanking her for a purchase of a new phone at Verizon. Minutes later, her
Okay.
contact information.
See.
Listen,
Tell me
if
what see
you
now and
have
hear.
a bank account, everyone has a bank account. If you have a cell phone, almost everyone has a cell phone. You need to watch your bank account, okay? Watch this.
News is asking a security question tonight that deals with your cell phone. How did a Maryland woman lose $17,000 even though she had two-factor authentication on all of her accounts?
Security experts tell I-Team investigator Scott Taylor that it's a lot simpler than you could ever imagine.
We all know criminals have multiple ways to steal your identity, but 7 News is sending out a warning. SIM card swapping almost cost Sharon Hussey of Bethesda, Maryland, $17,000.
It was absolutely stunning. It was just like my heart fell to the floor.
It all started when Hussey got this email thanking her for a purchase of a new phone at Verizon. Minutes later, her contact information at Bank of America changed. The problem? She didn't do either transaction and had two-factor authentication on her accounts.
The bottom just kind of dropped out.
She called Bank of America, but her cell phone was no longer active. An online attempt required a verification code her phone couldn't receive. Within minutes, her 17 grand was missing.
Initially, I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. I thought I had handled it on the first day by calling the bank, calling Verizon, figuring things out.
Hussey tells 7 News Verizon said someone in California walked into one of its stores and purchased a new phone along with a new SIM card and used Hussey's current phone number to activate the new phone. When the new phone was turned on, Hussey's phone went dead. Hussey used a landline to contact Bank of America, but it was too late. 17 grand vanished.
And I have two-factor authentication, which ended up
Insane.
kind of biting me in the face when it all came down to it. That was the thing that completely hijacked everything. They had complete control of my phone, and there was nothing I could do about it.
SIM card swapping has been around for the past 4 years. But security experts tell 7 News this type of scam has recently skyrocketed.
In 2021, roughly 6 times as many dollars were stolen through this as the years before.
Online security expert Alex Quilisi with YouMail says the scam is simple.
The bad guys convince the telephone company that they have the SIM for your phone number. And the minute the phone company does the swap, they're in control of your number.
Scammers then use two-factor authentication through your cell phone to access your accounts.
If you've been doing two-factor authentication everywhere to your mobile phone number, if someone else gets that mobile phone number, they can authenticate as if they're you.
Over the next 3 months, Bank of America denied Hussey's claim, saying it can't be honored. Eventually, the bank reversed its initial decision and refunded the 17 grand.
Okay, so just wanted to let us kind of see that because for some reason these bad actors, that's all they have to do, I guess, in life is to do negative and mean things to us. So we want to do our best to prevent that as much as possible. Now, I'm gonna stop right there and take a couple questions. So let me know if you can still see my screen again with the presentation back up. Because in this situation, she did have two-factor authentication and MFA. So you may say, well, you can hear me? Yes? Okay, and see my screen. Okay. So you may say, well, what else should she have done? Nothing. She did her job. So the only other thing there is to do in that case is to have go back to Verizon or whoever your cell phone provider is, and you want to make sure that you have what we call a PIN code, not to be able to port out your number from one phone to another or from one cell phone vendor to another. So for example, if you're with Verizon and you want to port out to T-Mobile, you need to have a PIN code. Whoever has that PIN code should be able to do that. If they don't have that, they won't be able to do what they just did to this young lady, and then vice versa. So does that answer any questions that we would have about that? And yes, the answer to your question, Dr. LaFarra, I hope I'm saying your name right. You do want to swap out. You want to make sure that you start using something other than your cell phone to be your two-factor authenticator. It's definitely, I have multiple tools that we can recommend here. We have, like I personally use, there's several, there's Microsoft's Authenticator, there's Google Authenticator, there's Authy, A-U-T-H-Y, and Duo, D-U-O, and Authenticator. Yeah, so those are the three that I would recommend, and I can put those in the chat here as well. So it's going to be DUO, AUTHY, Microsoft Authenticator, and then you're going to also be able to use the Google Authenticator. And I would not put them all, do not put all your eggs in one basket if I were you, because that way, if this app or so get hacked, at least you would not have them all in one basket. Okay. All right. So common security posture assessments. This is what we use to kind of help us to be able to determine what's going on with the environment before we make recommendations. So we do what we call a cybersecurity IT vulnerability assessment. And it also entails doing penetration testing. Okay, so some of you are saying you use Google Authenticator. Yes, that would be good. How do you set up the PIN code? I see someone asked that question. You want to go into the, like I said, your carrier, in this case, your phone carrier, and just let them know that in order to port out a phone number, well, first of all, let me rephrase the statement. You should have I already have, I have Verizon, so I already have it set up where users nobody can do anything on my account without two-factor authentication, as well as there's a passcode on there as well. So I got 2 or 3 different ways to make sure someone couldn't do anything, but I would say also add to it not being able to transition your phone from one vendor to another or from one phone to another without having that passcode. So I hope that answers your question. All right, efficiency in AI and cybersecurity. We mentioned this before. You basically want to have ways that you're constantly monitoring 24/7. There are several different companies that, on a regular basis that we work with. We will work with retail companies. We work with software companies, financial companies. Everybody has the same issue. And a lot of times, companies say to me, well, I'm just a little small company. I'm just a solopreneur. Does that affect me? Yes. I said, well, why? Because they shouldn't want anything from me. Well, because anybody, these bad actors, they don't care about how many people you have, and they're more apt to come after a solopreneur because a solopreneur, they don't have the certain criteria and different software tools and different security aspects installed in their environment. So they figure that they're better apt to want to hack them more than any of the larger companies. Compliance and regulations, we want to put those into place as well. You want to verify and make sure that each of these tools that I put out there, yeah, they are free. It's no charge for those. I see some questions about that. Okay, it did not appear. Okay, I apologize. Let me see. I'll put it in there in the chat again. Okay, so let me know if you don't see it again. Okay, compliance and regulations. You want to avoid fees. One of our main focus on clients now, financial sector, CPAs, accountant, tax preparers, bookkeepers. Why? Because they're number two that is getting hacked. Number one is healthcare, and sometimes those two get interchanged. Last year, FTC, Federal Trade Commissioner, they took a law that they had in place before and they revised it tremendously and made it more strict. And they said, hey, if you companies, professional service companies, about 16 of them in the industry, mortgage companies, basically anybody who use private information, anybody who collects private information. So they call it PII. So if you're collecting certain information from your clients, such as their social security number, their combination of the social security number, their tax ID, even if you're doing like your date of birth, all of those things, you want to make sure that you're compliant with the FTC safeguard rule. And then that would make sure that when you get hacked, not if, then you will not have to be bothered with paying also some additional fines, non-compliance fines. All right, so as I stated before, small to medium-sized businesses, doesn't matter what size, it's about 6,000, on an average 6,000 small businesses are affected by breaches each day. Company breaches originate from inside sometimes, and about 52% of that. No business is too small to be targeted, okay? Just keep those things in mind. Why is this happening? Because bad actors want your information. They want to sell it on the dark web or anywhere that they can make money for. Sometimes they just do it just for the heck of it, just to see if they can do it. But for the most part, most people are doing it to try to make some money from it, okay? What types are there? Phishing, smishing, quishing. Who type in the chat, who knows what they feel like phishing is? What type of phishing? What is most common when we say phishing? Okay, I'm seeing that it's email. Absolutely. Okay, how about smishing? SMISHING, smishing. Text messaging. Perfect. Okay, what about quishing? QUISHING. What do you feel like quishing is? Got me on that one. All right, I like it. Okay, so quishing is QR code phishing. PHISHING is QR code phishing. Okay, so what does that mean and what does it entail and why are we having to be concerned about QR codes being phished? Well, it's almost like email is your biggest issue, and then nowadays text messaging, you're going to get all kind of text messages to you and from you, and the bad actors say, hey, I want to go in there. I want to tell you about an example here in Atlanta. Okay, so in Atlanta, you have to do a lot of parking, downtown area, you have to pay for parking. So I want to say sometime last year, it might have been year before that, they had an advertisement on the news letting us know that quishing is very, very serious. So when you go there to get ready to pay for your parking, you want to take something that you got maybe in your purse, and you want to take the quishing code itself. What the hackers are doing is they're going in and they're doing what we call, I'll show you this screen here. We already know what phishing, squishing. They're going in and they're taking the code itself and they're scraping it off and putting another one on top of it. Or they leave it on there and they just take another code that they've created themselves and they paste it on top of there like you can't even see it, so you can't see it. So when you're going up there to try to pay for your toll, you'll realize your parking rather, you'll realize that you really didn't pay for what you thought. And then a lot of times people were coming out from the event that they went to and they realized not only did they not pay, and now that someone has hacked their bank account because you use usually going to use some kind of card to pay for your parking. And so now they've captured your banking account information. They also have captured the fact that you're no longer, you think that you pay for parking, but now you come outside and you have a boot on your car because you didn't pay for parking. So you want to just take something hard, and I would used to say put your hand on it, but if the bad actors have put something on it to, you know, take advantage of you, and you put it on there and it makes you, you know, there's all kind of bad things out there. So just take something and put your hand on it, or something rough, and rub over the top of it, and make sure there's no QR code behind it as you are getting ready to scan it. And nowadays on your devices, this is another step and tip. On your device, if you have Android or if you have an iPhone, you want to make sure that on the iPhone, I know they have it where you could click on the link itself, hold down on top of the link, the QR code, and then it'll pop up a little box that'll show you what the link is supposed to go to. Before you click it, just make sure it's valid, and also talk with someone, you know, if someone sent it to you, make sure it's valid as well. So here's ransomware. When we talk about ransomware, everybody's familiar with that. If you see this box come up on your screen, usually on the Windows computer, what would you do? I say maybe it's the control. I don't know. Okay, unplug the computer. Perfect. Whoever said that, you win today. So that's what you want to do when it comes to ransomware. Obviously, for any of these other situations when ransomware comes up, you want to, if you see that screen, you want to definitely turn it off. You do not want, make sure it's turning off too with laptops. Make sure you hold it down all the way till it turns off, then turn it back on. If you have someone that helps you with your security or your computer systems, then call them. If not, then just make sure that you're very careful when you turn it back on, and that you do not do anything like click the X or anything like that. Just turn it totally off. As I mentioned before, insider threats, that happens a lot of times because of human error when we're clicking on emails and things of that nature. But then sometimes insider threats could come from someone purposely doing some bad things to the company. Maybe they upset with the company and things of that nature. I have a personal story where one of the reasons why I also protect financial sector accountants, CPAs, etc., is because personally I was hacked before when it comes to my taxes. Few years back, many years ago now, I had a tax preparer. She was an accountant. She was preparing my taxes for my company. We had extended into October, and then she got ready to file my taxes. She got an error. She called me. She said, "What? I'm not understanding what happened. Did you already file your taxes?" I said, "No, I did not." She said, "Well, let me do some research." She came back. She says, "Well, I found out that they say your taxes has already been filed." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? I didn't file them." So after she did some further research, someone filed taxes in my name. The good thing is they weren't in Georgia, so you know it only affected my state. But the bad thing is it took 2 years plus for me to go physically, many hours of my time to physically go down and you know to the IRS and get a number and sit in line and wait and prove to them every year that I was not the bad actor. So that was no fun for me. But at least in that situation, 2 years later, they decided, okay, I think you're really truly who you say you are. So we'll give you a PIN code to file your taxes. Oh, so it's on the Zoom control. Okay. Okay. What about now? If I close out the chat box, can you see now?
Still there.
Oh my God. Okay, Zoom controls. Maybe if I hide the Zoom controls. Show panel. I've never had that to happen. Shoot. I don't show panel, floating panels. What about now? That's the last thing I can remove.
Still the same.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
All right, so now let's go on and get started on our cybersecurity checkup exercise. What we're going to do first is we're going to check personal emails. So a lot of us use our personal emails. Sometimes you need a personal email like at gmail.com or at outlook.com or whatever your personal email is. So you want to take this. This is a legitimate QR code. It's not going to do anything bad, I promise, even though I told you about QR codes. So you want to go ahead on and scan this QR code for those who haven't done this exercise already. And if you have, then already, you can forego doing it a second time. Let me know in the chat. I close out my chat window, but I guess I can open it back up again. Let me know in the chat when you're ready for me to go to the next step. I'm gonna assume you do because I can't see chat anymore. All right, so
Okay, we're back
first
again,
step.
and for
I'm
those
gonna
of
have
us
to play a
who
quick
have
video.
personal email addresses that we want to verify if it's possibly been leaked out on the dark web for bad actors to do bad things with our email address, we want to type it in here. And once you type it in, you want to click on the right arrow here. It will do a scan and it will show us the results. So we'll see what the results are for that. Okay, we're back again. And for those of us.
Okay, so for that, who in the chat was able to see that they had any potential issues with their personal emails? Put that in the chat. Okay, now we want to do the business one. Let's go on scan that, and you want to put your business email address in here. And it'll show you a quick demo of that.
Okay, so what we're going to do is verify if our business email address has been possibly leaked on the dark web, or also known as compromised. So what we want to do is type in your email address. Email address here, your business email address. And after you type it in, you want to click on the arrow that goes to the right. Give it a few seconds. Voila. It says here, important alert. Let's check the notifications here. Your business is exposed. We have none for the email itself, but for the domain itself, I have my business domain, that is my website, icaretechgeeks.com, had some exposure. So these are things that you want to look at and make sure that we are having someone to help you with this. Okay?
Okay. So then this is the next one here. In efforts for time, I don't want to go over here, so I want to leave some time for us to be able to answer all of the questions that you had. Let's go on and do this last one here. You want to take this QR code, go on and capture that one right quick. And if you're not able to capture it fast enough before I go to the next screen, I will put it in the chat for everybody. Okay, and not let me do it. Just going on and take a screenshot of that. And then I'm going to play the next one.
Okay, now we're going to verify if our email address has been compromised with a score that we can verify and know all of the changes we need to make sure that going forward, we will have an email score that reflects what we want. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just kind of introduce. Can verify and know all of the changes we need to make sure that going forward we will have an email score that reflects what we want. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just kind of introduce you to this entire platform. So what you're going to do here is you're going to put in your email address and you're going to hit start test. But I want to scroll down and show you some other areas. This is basically a program here where this is going to show you what your score is based on all of the different areas you need to have in place for your email to make sure it's safe and that no bad actor can go in and hack your email. And so first thing we will do is submit our email in here. Then you should expect number 2. The second step is you'll get a reply. And then the third step is you'll get a report. And then what you want to do is if you keep this button checked, this checkbox, it'll send us a report to let us know how you did. And then if you like, we can reach back out to you to help you with that aspect of fixing any issues that you have. Okay, now we're going to, okay, so you're saying you still can't see it because of the box. Great. Okay.
Well, the first one, Lynette, is keeper security, right?
Yeah,
I'm just going to
so
put the links.
let me give you the link. Yeah, you just do that right quick.
And then email.securityradar/radar. Okay.
So I'm going to give you each of the links and you can tell me if they can get it that way. All right.
All right, great.
All right. So let's go back in. All right, I'll show you a couple more things, then we're going to get to your questions. I promise. All right, so what's next? So obviously we've showed you some bad things that the bad actors do. Now we want to show you some positive things on how we can help protect ourselves. So as we mentioned before, we want to get password managers in place. And what we call that is credential manager, because it's not just for your passwords, it's for credentials as a whole. So you want to make sure that you have all credentials in there. So if you have your credit cards information, you can put that in there. If you have your license and things of that nature, you can put all that in there. And you want to, some of the ones, we'll give you some suggestions on some different ones that we suggest. Notice here is saying, do not use the same password, use strong passwords, use phrases. So make sure you use a phrase to remember. Once you get your credential manager, you only have to remember one password. So let's make it, if you love, like, or you see it says Pam flies to Hawaii every winter. I would make a password or a passphrase, something similar to this. But if that's true about Pam, I would not do it. I would do the opposite. Pam flies to Timbuktu every winter. You know, something that someone can't remember. And you want to make sure that's not your family member names. A lot of us do that. We'll think we are, you know, we're doing good because we put a number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 behind it each time. Please don't do that. Okay, these are good ones and bad ones. As I mentioned before, phrases are better. Here are 3 types that we recommend. Some of them are minimal fee. Some of them are, you know, these are low cost. We personally have the enterprise version of Keeper that we use for our clients. We've tried LastPass in the past. We decided not to use LastPass anymore because they were breached 2 or 3 times within the last 2 years or so. So we kind of went away from that one. Sorry to step on your toes a little bit, Lorette. But
That's
yeah,
okay. You're the expert.
So these are several that you could do. And then if need be, if y'all can't see the slides correctly, I'll get the slide deck over, I'll clean it up some and I'll get it over, okay, to Lorette to distribute it out. All right, some things I want to show you as well. When you're looking at your websites that you're going to, think before you click is what we always tell everybody. You want to make sure that it has this little bar at the top left corner of it. If it doesn't, don't click it.
that means it is not secure. We have tools in place as well that helps us anytime we get ready to install new software, anytime we get ready to go to a website, it'll block it. Time's not going to allow me to show all of that, but it blocks me from going to the site. So that's what we do, for our clients as well, to make sure that they're not, to kind of help them out a little. Multi-factor authentication, we talked about that several times. You want to have multiple ways, not just two-factor authentication. That's 2 ways, but in this case, multi-factor. They call that MFA for short. How is your cybersecurity posture? Do you have any two-factor authentication in place or multi-factor authentication in place? Do you have encryption in place? Do you have dedicated firewalls? Or do you have credential managers? If you don't, let's make sure we get those things in place. As I said before, is no longer, hey, you think, will I, when will I get hacked? Yeah, well, it's no longer will I, it's when I get hacked. It's no longer if, it's when. You want to make sure you have some things in place, not just for business, but also for personal. Because if you get hacked on your personal side, it can be just as detrimental as I stated before. I got hacked my taxes. So that was a pain in the butt on personal and business side. All right. And then, just have a cybersecurity budget allotted for you and your business. And also, most importantly, I know most people say, well, I'm just a solopreneur, I'm just getting started. You still need cybersecurity insurance, because when something happens, you want to make sure you're similar to the client we just helped. They took great care of us while we were there helping them out because they wanted to help. They wanted to get back to work, and they had cybersecurity insurance. All right, conclusion. Thank you for your time. Now let's get to the questions. So I'm gonna go ahead on and put the next one up. This is your freebie. Let me know if you still can't see that code, then I'll put that in the chat as well. If it's blocking.
Hey, Lynette, can I try something real quick to get rid of the box? Can you stop your share? And then when you reshare, there's an option to optimize video. Do not check that.
Okay. Oh, is that what it is? That is it then. Okay. Now you can, the box is gone.
See. There it is. Oh, well, now we see their presenter screen. It's okay. Can you guys see the QR code?
Oh, okay.
But I think we're now seeing you almost got it. The box was gone.
I just forgot to hit this multiple screens. Okay, you should be good now.
There. Okay, well, now we know. Now we know why it's gone now. So
yeah, now it goes away, right?
now it's gone.
All right, so now let's go to questions that you have. I know it was
Did you guys get that code for the freebie? Do you want to put it up one more time?
If you put it back. Okay, sorry. Share. Let's make
so
sure
that last screen, she has a code for her freebies. And Adrienne, if you could type that in, if you're still there, so people that can't scan the QR code. So with this, she's going to give you a checklist and stuff. So definitely check that out. All right. And then now let's look at some questions. All right. So question from Chris. What is the best protection for laptops and phones?
Laptops and phones. Laptops is going to be considered, just like a computer. So we have a tool that we put, it depends. When you say protection, as in what? Okay, let me give you this one. We use an enterprise software such as, it's called Sentinel-1. And you put that in the chat. SENT.
I know there's, there's different tools like McAfee and all those different antivirus and things that are supposed to help you.
Use this one as well. So Sentinel-1 is what we use.
Okay, Sentinel. All right.
And then what was the other question?
The other question was TikTok, concerns on security on TikTok. Do you know,
Okay,
do you have any opinion on
yeah.
that?
My biggest thing is they call it takeover. So you want to make sure that all social media that, again, most of us, I forgot to say this, most of us use about 5 passwords across the board on everything. And that's not a good thing. So you want to make sure that you're using different password. And now that you're going to get the credential manager, you won't need to, remember passwords because it's going to remember it for you. So that'll help you in that. But in addition to that, you want to make sure that any of the social media platforms you want to have two-factor authentication put in place, and don't use your phone for that. Use one of the other devices. That's usually the best thing. Let me know if that helps. Oh, someone said they had 13 breaches in public data. Okay. Well, at least we're getting some knowledge, learning. Someone says they had a.
So I just put that link in there that Lynette recommended. Was that correct?
Sentinel. That's correct. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Janet says, is it true that Macs aren't subject to viruses?
No, it's no longer true. Matter of fact, I just saw that out. I mean, no, nothing is. The only thing that is not going to be virus prone would be if you're never online with anything. And so obviously that's not going to be the case. Now, so far as Macs, yeah, they are better when it comes to it versus Windows machines, yes. But when you open up, like even if you have Office Suite on Microsoft Office Suite on your Mac, we just got a alert, I think yesterday, where it showed that there was a vulnerability. Because you have to in your Mac, you have to tell it it's okay for you to use this particular program, the different programs, and sometimes when you open that up, then it could open you up to a vulnerability associated with the Macs and that in that example for Microsoft. So what you want to do is you still want to have protection, is basically what I'm saying. The same, we protect Microsoft as well as Mac users. We don't have to have as much protection, but we still do have to have protection for Macs as well.
And so when you're doing some of the tools that you were showing us with your emails being compromised and stuff, so what do you do? Like, what's the next step? Like it says you have all these issues. What do you do now?
So then, great question. So the next step is you want to, I mean, we do within this QR code that we gave you, when you sign up for that to get the freebie that we gave you, which is basically a checklist on what to do. And also we'll have a link in there for you to click on as well, a calendar in there, a tech calendar in there for you, some things to do throughout the year. Not exactly in that order, but you want to do those things throughout the whole year. Also, we will send you an automated email and you can click on that and schedule a 15-minute conversation. And we can talk with you about some of the things we can do and point you to that's low cost and or, if need be, we can help you as well.
All right. So when we're done, we'll put that link back up so you guys can get that QR code once again. All right. Michelle was saying, how do you set up the authentication for the different sites like the Google and the Duo? How do you actually set it up?
So you would just go and, like, for example, you're usually going to put it on some of your device. So you would put the Duo app, for example, install it on your device. So if you have a Mac, an Apple versus most of the times you install it on each device. I'm trying to see if there's ever a time that I've installed it on a computer. No, it's always my smart device. So you want to install it on your phone. Just if you're on your, for example, if you're on your iPhone, you want to go to the Apple Store and you want to search if you're going to use let's say most people use the Authenticator you just type in Authenticator app in there, and then you will see one that come up with Microsoft, because there's one called Microsoft Authenticator, and then there's one called Google Authenticator. Okay, so then you just, in my case, it's saying open, but in your case, you'll just hit the button and it'll say install if you never installed it. Okay. And then you install it. And then once you have a program that you want to use it for, it'll produce a QR code for you to scan. And once you scan that QR code, it'll allow you to, going forward, to log in with that particular, whatever site it may be. And also, let me just say this, going forward, you know, they are trying to find ways to not have to have passwords all the time, or the two-factor authenticator like what we're talking about. They have what we call passwordless authentication. And so Keeper Security has that built into it. And some of the sites are ready for that and some are not. So for example, bestbuy.com, when you try to go log into that, I've created inside my Keeper Security passwordless two-factor authentication. So I no longer have to go to the app to put in my second authentication. I just click a little button and it automatically puts it in there for me, and it just logs me in. Let me know if that, again, like I say, I'm very open to having 15-minute conversation and get everybody set up on that. Or we can have a group session where all of us can get together and we can go over everything and have it where everybody can kind of have the two-factor authentications installed. And we can go over an example on how to do that.
Yeah, okay. So would you guys like that? I'm thinking a lot of sounds good. Yes.
And
to
then
actually do it live. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll share my
Okay.
screen and as well. I'll come in on my, you know, on my phone, and then you'll be able to see it as well in the same way.
Right. So keeping on that, what if your phone is stolen and you have that on your phone?
Okay, so this is the thing, which is why I say I have several different ones. If your phone is stolen, you want to make sure when you're installing the Authenticator app, and thank y'all for that question, so I forgot to tell you this. When you're installing the Authenticator app, there should be an option in any one of them that says, do you want to enable backup? You want to say yes to that. And it's going to give you a special code. You want to make sure you keep a check of what that is. Do not take a screenshot of it, because if you do that, then it still gives it access to, you know, the bad actor. But you want to take a picture of it, maybe, and or if you're doing it on your phone, for example, on your computer sometimes. Like when I create a new credential, for example, let's say I'm creating a new password for something, I may do it on my Keeper Security on my computer, because at that point I can print out that code from my computer using my computer. And then if my phone were to get hacked or my device get hacked, then I have that special code to be able to restore from my backup all of your codes that you've been using in that app.
All right. Richard says, what is the cost? Is it expensive for doing cybersecurity for small, mid, and large businesses? So you have, I'm assuming, a variety of different clients?
Yeah, so we have all the way from one solopreneur to thousands of employees, clients that we service. So each person is different, but we first start off with what we call a cybersecurity assessment, IT assessment. And then once we do that assessment, then we determine what's best for that environment. And then obviously we have a conversation with each person to find out, you know, what are you doing now? What's your goals 3 years, 5 years from now? If you come to us and say, well, I plan on retiring 5 years from now. Well, our solution for you will be different. Or I plan on selling my business to somebody 3 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 5 years from now. Then we come up with a strategy for that. But either way, we find out exactly what you need, and then we structure, you know, your solution accordingly. But on the average cost, you know, we have anywhere from, like I said, we do constant monitoring for everything. So it could be anywhere from $275, $250 per month, all the way up to, you know, thousands of dollars a month that we charge our clients, depending on how many locations you have, how many devices you have. Devices meaning computers, laptops, desktops, Mac, all of that is computers. And then depending on how many smart devices you have, your iPad, your iPhone, or your Samsung tablet, or whatever that might be. All of that goes
And
into.
Okay. And out of curiosity, are a lot of businesses becoming more proactive in coming to you, like seeing, or do they come to you after they've already been hacked?
Seen both. We had a client that we had to actually unfortunately fire in first one we had to fire, which, you know, I mean, we had to do what we had to do. But that was in May, because they wouldn't listen to what we were telling them, and we didn't want to be read about on the news. So we decided to offboard them to someone else. But ultimately, so that answer is yes and no. You know, some people, they take it serious, and so they definitely want to make sure, especially people like financial sector, human resource companies. We have some companies such as like a healthcare. They're very serious about the security because they understand that if they don't put these things in place, not only when they get hacked, then they're going to have to pay the non-compliance fine as well. Like I said about in the healthcare, it's the HIPAA compliance, you know, they have to pay for that fine. And in the financial sector, it'll be the FTC safeguard rule compliant, non-compliance fee.
And so, you know, the key takeaway is to be prepared, be proactive, get yourself set up now so you're not coming after when you're already hacked. All right. And then one more, Lisa was just asking, the social security breach that just took place, what do you suggest you do? It seems like they're happening almost every week.
Yes, it's a battle. That's a great question. What you should do is just do the best you can, and then that's all we can do, right? So the situation where I showed you with the SIM card being hacked, I mean, she was using two-factor authentication, but then there was something else she needed to do. So it's always something new and different. I would say to do what they always tell us to do. You know, when AT&T was hacked recently, so I didn't have their services for, I don't know, probably 25 plus years. But still that affected me. So what I had to do was, just do what they asked us to do. Go in and sign up. Depending on what they say was taken, I would just say go in and make sure nobody can get access to create new credit for you without locking your credit report down, whether your credit in general, meaning that nobody can go create new credit unless they confirm it's you. So I would do that on that situation because I believe they said that social security numbers were taken in that hack, and that's billions of people, which would mean everybody just need to go out. They should be offering us the free services for that. So you want to make sure you sign up for that immediately.
Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen where I've gotten a message saying it was hacked and go sign up for this service to monitor what your credit. So yeah. Okay, and then I know you mentioned before about cybersecurity insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something, can you just talk about that?
Yeah, so cybersecurity insurance. So you basically can, depending on who you have your car insurance with, automobile insurance, you could speak to them so they can give you more of a discount. If not, then any insurance companies, there are several cybersecurity companies out there. I believe I use, there's Hanover, there's, many. So what you want to do is just search online for cybersecurity insurance companies and then get a quote from them. And when they'll give you a quote, I know that I spoke with someone recently, they're with State Farm, but they said that they don't do cybersecurity insurance unless it's certain businesses and it's only 15,000 coverage. So you also want to, depending on the type of business you have, you want way more coverage than that, because on the average, if let's say that you get hacked and they steal gigabytes of your data, well, all those data points that they steal, those records that they steal, that is a minimal, usually $1,000 to $10,000 per record that you may have to pay back. And then if you have a lawsuit, you want to have some money to take care of that as well.
Wow, cybersecurity insurance. Didn't know that was there. All right. Okay. Any other last questions? If you could put that last screen. Oh, go ahead, Lynette.
You said, Chris says, will that be umbrella insurance? It's separate. It's separate. So you would want to get something. It's actually called cybersecurity insurance, and each insurance company has different criteria that they write them up on. And you just want to make sure that once you get it in, you want to make sure that it's someone you trust, you know, so far as the cybersecurity, and make sure you're getting enough. That's the key. I think somebody had their hand up.
Paula or Miss Adams, did we answer your questions? If not, put them back into the chat and we will get that answered. All right. Sarah says, this has probably been one of the most useful and insightful learning tubes I've ever been on. Thank you, Lynette. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Sorry about the box.
No, well, now we know the problem. Now we know how to solve it. All right. Any other, Richard said, what's enough insurance? I think that depends on the business, right? The type of things that you're doing.
Right. It depends on your business. For my business, for example, or for a CPA firm, or healthcare or human resource firm, there's maybe way more than traditional. Like if you say I'm a small business owner and I run a marketing company, well, yours wouldn't be as much as, you know, my company or the other companies I just mentioned. So it would just depend on your company, and the insurance company will write it based on the type of company you have, and they won't write it based on the type of company you have. So if you're you're high risk, some companies won't write a policy. It's only certain companies will write us policies because we'll consider it managed service providers or managed security service providers, and MSP or MSSP for short, and they don't write those policies. So we have to go to companies that would write it.
All right, two more. So Paula's saying, how do you protect yourself when you're getting your phone repaired? Because you have to unlock it and do all that stuff. Laptops usually too, you have to unlock it and they you give them your laptop.
Okay, you mean getting it repaired, Paula, overnight and leaving it with them?
Right.
When you say protect yourself, well, I mean, hopefully you giving it to somebody that you know that you trust.
Right.
But you would, Paula, we would encourage you to put a tool on that particular device, and we have tools that monitors, like it's an always running VPN service. We also have a tool that will monitor you being able to, you know, log into different places, so we can monitor what happens to the phone as when they have it, if you will.
What kind of, is that a tool that you internally use?
Yes, it's a tool we use and we install for others. One of the tools that you may want to install for that's that you can get out online is it's going to be Nord, N-O-R-D security.
Seeing that out.
Okay, and then I'll look for the
Nord security. Okay.
Yeah, I'll look up the link for you. And then so you'll get what they call basically it's what we call endpoint protection, which is basically your device protection. I don't know why they call it endpoint. But you will get that type of software, and it's always monitoring it. So if something happens and someone is doing something that it shouldn't be doing, you would know that based on this software. And this is
like Corinne says, I log out of all my accounts and sensitive folders when she's taking her laptop or phone to the repair shop. So, okay.
Yes, that would be a great idea. Log out all your accounts, but you know, I mean, it's relative, but yeah, it's I mean, in other words, we got to trust them to some extent.
Right, right. All right. Last, Yvonne was asking about voice recognition. Is that?
Okay, so voice recognition, you want to be careful with that. I would not, you know, back in the day before COVID happened, that's when all of these, I mean, cybersecurity went to a whole nother level, all new high. Right. And prior to that, you know, we didn't think anything of it. Like your bank would say, you know, my voice is my authentication. That's what it'll tell you. And then you could just say that, and then you don't have to give it anything else. I would tell it, no, now do not do that. Because if they get your voice, and then that's another thing people do, they call you and they try to get you to say yes. or
Wow.
okay. And so when they do that, that's part of vishing as well. And when they do that, then they recorded that. And so they can go back and use your voice as your recognition, but it's really not you. And that's the bad thing they do with AI, so far as doing that. Those are the bad actors doing that type of stuff. Is that what you were talking about, Yvonne?
And then Paula, kind of to go on that, is asking about biometrics.
Biometrics. Okay, so the biometrics on the phones nowadays, you know, face recognition. You also have on the laptops. By the way, they got new laptops coming out soon, but I would wait on them for now. But they're going to have AI built into them. So I would wait for now because they're kind of expensive. And also I would wait until they get the kinks out of it. But nowadays, you know, all different devices has biometrics built in where you put your fingerprint on it or your face recognition. So you can do that as well. And those are best things to do. However, I've seen some TV where they said, I've seen TV shows where they doing crazy things to get into certain places, you know, including.
I've seen those, yep. Like they need an eyeball to get in or
eyeballs
something. Yeah.
out. I'm like, wait a minute, that's just too much.
Yeah.
So be careful with that too.
All right. Okay. So I think that's it. So if you could put that QR code for your freebie back on, I know some people were asking for that, just kind of.
You got tricked into saying yes today on the scam call. Yeah, you want to be careful. So also, I would say to help with vishing, I answer the phone crazy, huh? You know, like that. You know, something different, some different tone. So it's not your normal hello. You know, I do it differently, and so that's like an internal hack that you can do. Just act silly, and usually if they're a bad person, they'll hang up anyway. Yes, let me give you that code.
It's funny that you say that. My daughter actually took my voice saying yes. And then she says, hey, Mom, can I go out? And then it says yes. So she like put it together, faking that I said yes.
Oh, she got you. She got you.
She did. She got me.
All right, I'm gonna just put it in the
you
chat.
said yes.
See if y'all let me have that option. See if I have that option. Paste. Copy. Paste.
While you're doing that, I just wanted to give a big thank you to Lynette. I know people really enjoyed this. Is definitely something that is much needed, and we'll definitely have you back. And when we have you back, we're going to have it as a working session for people to actually do and implement some of the things that were talked about today, because it's much needed, and it's really, it's not going to get better. I mean, people are just out for blood, you know, trying to get this, you know, hack and get your stuff. I mean, unfortunately, but we have to be smart. We have to be proactive and be on top of it to make sure that we're ahead of them. So thank you very much. There it is, this QR code. If you can't scan it, she does have the link right there as well. So get that. And that has, people are asking, what do you do when you find out that your information is compromised? What do you do? So here, Lynette was saying this is the checklist to help you. This is kind of the next step on the what do you do now. So go there, get your checklist. Deidre, thank you. She just put the link in there as well. All right. Thank you, Lynette. Any last words? Any tips or advice to say real quick on what we should do? Last minute.
Say this again. I said it on last week's summit for those who wasn't on it. Just make sure that you come up with, also for everybody who asked about the biometrics and the voice recognition, I would highly recommend that you come up with some passcode for you internally with your business as well as your family members. And so that when someone do vishing and they take over and they come up with this recording that sounds, use AI for bad, and they come up with a recording that sounds like your child or your relative or your son, your dad, or whoever is somewhere stranded and they say they need money immediately, you could have them, okay, no problem. Well, I'll definitely get that money right on over to you, but could you tell us the passcode first? And whenever they hang up the phone, it's really truly a scammer. So you want to make sure you put something like that in place, personally and professionally.
Great advice. Okay, thanks again, Lynette, and we look forward to seeing you again. All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.